Y'all guys want to talk on camera?
What are we talking about?
Oh, I was going to ask you what you thought about these guys over here.
You don't know what audience he's speaking to.
Oh, well.
Clearly you don't know where he's at.
Why is that?
Preaching religion in times of protest, that's pretty much the main aspect. That's a problem. It's one of the problems.
Well, what's one of the problems? What are you preaching at people that are protesting? Well, I guess I would put them in the same category as protesting your protest.
Exactly. And that's the problem. If you're trying to protest, you just create it's like we're on the highway. We're trying to get somewhere, and you told us to get off on the exit. Now we find ourselves in a whole new other problem. Now we're in different kind of traffic now. You're detouring from where we're trying to go to.
Sure. So where is it that y'all are trying to go to?
You better ask them more than me.
Okay. Well, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I would just say for these guys that, they believe what they think is right, and they're talking to you guys, and then y'all believe what y'all think is right, and then they're talking to him, I guess. But what makes this side right compared to that side?
The narrative they're trying to paint about immigrants, the narrative they're trying to paint about Black and Hispanic people.
Oh, that would be Trump, right? I'm talking about the street preacher with like Jesus and all that sort of stuff. You say they don't know the audience that they're talking to. I believe they would say that they're talking to sinners, right?
For sure.
So how are they wrong that Jesus was not involved with this event or the people with this event? I know it's a tough question. Why do you think that they're wrong in saying that Jesus is with them and not with this event?
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
Okay.
Jesus, from a Christian-based view, Jesus is supposed to be with everybody, right?
No. He separates the wheat from the chaff. There's the sheep and the goats. It's an exclusionary belief.
Is that what he's saying?
Well, he's saying that we're sinners in need of a savior.
Is that everyone as a whole, or just
everybody? Yeah, everybody is sinners and in need of grace if we only accept Jesus' gift.
Right. So you said what makes him wrong and us right?
Yeah. Why is him preaching to you guys that he shouldn't be doing it? Not that y'all said that, but you kind of like put it in the same ideological group. Would you put Christians and the right strictly in that group? Would you not say that there's?
Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. You kind of just associated the street preacher with Republican values, conservative values, Trump, and all that sort of thing. Why would you do that?
Because conservative speaking, that's how they usually align themselves with Christian values.
Okay. So, but what he's saying is can be right, but he's fooled in how he should be going about politics.
How is he going about politics? He shouldn't be about politics.
Why shouldn't he be worried about politics?
State and church. State and church. Things. You shouldn't do religion, especially in America, with government.
Okay. So, what do y'all think about that? This was a Christian nation originally.
Was it?
Who said it was a Christian nation?
Well, think about this. So, we swear on top of a Bible, right?
We do.
Yeah. So, why do we do that?
Primarily Christian.
Yeah. So the way that this nation was set up was a non-sectarian because they were coming over from oppression from England.
Right.
And so they want freedom to practice their religious beliefs. But whenever they were talking about religion, they weren't talking about Islam, right?
No.
So they were talking about Christianity. So they came over here.
There was also different churches of Christianity.
Yes.
Was the Protestants, there was the
They're
Baptists.
really talking about these people that we let in. But God already knew that was gonna happen. But that's how you separate the wheat from the tares. How you think that the tabernacle of God was gonna be raised up? That child God talking about in Isaiah, the one that they call Antichrist. God is raising him up. It's the last prophet. We're in the fourth generation. That's what Revelation is. Ain't nothing new with the sun. Every fourth generation went through this. This is the last one.
Well, so
I am he.
even with the Old Testament, I'm a post-millennial Christian,
I'm
and so
surprised that God that's the Antichrist, because y'all got God thinking he ain't mad and he ain't gonna do this. Come on, man. If he went in the church and slam all this stuff, how you think that God ain't controlling all this?
I don't know. I'm confused on your point. Sorry.
Basically, that it's not against Christ. It's because everybody got Christ thinking he coming in here friendly. Christ ain't friendly. Never was friendly.
All right.
Oh.
That's one opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have that opinion about Christ. Yeah. I wish I knew what he was saying more, honestly, but it didn't sound
Yeah,
very.
he's probably saying.
Well, post millennials. So there. Have you ever heard of the Left Behind series? Okay. Well, it was. I grew up Christian, and so it was a really big deal with like. It's more propaganda than it is art. But basically, there's this sect of Christianity called dispensationalism, and so a lot of Christians in the South are dispensationalists. It's a pre-mill belief, which means that Jesus is coming back, he's coming back, but that things are going to get worse and worse, and then things are going to fall apart, and then they're going to get raptured up, and then God is going to go through 7 years of tribulation. So I believe that all that happened around 70 AD, whenever Nero was oppressing the Christians, and that was the end of the Jewish age. So I don't believe that the world is ending. I believe that things are actually getting better.
So no second coming.
No, there is a second coming. Yes, where Jesus is going to judge. All the believers will have to give an account for every thought, word, and deed. I just believe that number of the people that are being judged by God at the end will be subdued by Christians, basically. So we go out, we disciple the nations, like the book says, and the gates of hell will not prevail. And so the reason why I'm kind of like asking about these angles is because I believe that the Bible teaches to not oppress the poor or the people that are being oppressed. Stick up for people, for justice, and then also for mercy. So what I've gotten from these protests is that a lot of people are against violating of civil rights.
Yep.
You know, I haven't seen it. Oh, he's preaching now.
Is that for
I haven't seen it. Yeah,
these protests?
Well, no, not. Well, it's great that these protests have been peaceful. I'm glad.
right?
I'm very glad to see that. Yeah, but what I've gotten from here is that people don't want their civil rights violated, and that they've seen ICE people coming in and kidnapping people. And I've been asking, are they citizens or are they illegal immigrants?
But how can you tell the difference if there's no due process? If you just capture someone and you just arrest them without
Identification, right? I mean, that would just look.
That's pretty much the main issue.
But also,
you are taking people off the street.
I mean, but the thing is, like, they know who they're picking up, right? Because, like, have you heard about all this Palantir stuff with, like,
with the government and the intelligence agency?
They know the faces of everybody here, and they're able. They have them associated with their social medias, and they know exactly who people are.
Past pictures,
So that's why I think that they can separate these people from this, that they're using this technology to be able to do this. And I haven't seen citizens being oppressed.
Even if they are doing that, let's just say hypothetically, if that is the case, and you are doing that, you still are violating people's rights by running up without identification. They don't know what's going on. It's a lot of confusion. It's kind of like the fog of war. Like you're scared, so when you react, they try to judge you based off that because you're scared. You're getting separated. I've seen on social media there are families being ripped apart with no explanation, no location going, no.
Are you talking about that kid that was taken from his mother, but he was separated with his father?
No, not that one.
There's others.
There was another one. I think it was in New Jersey. I'm not sure. It was one of the northern states though.
Okay, I have to do my due diligence on that. I haven't seen that.
I'm not sure if it's in New Jersey or not, but I saw it. It was the teenage girl mother was being taken.
Okay.
And she tried to fight for her mom. She was trying to get to her mom. Like the neighborhood came out. It's a viral video going on right now.
I'll check it out. Yeah, because I haven't gotten that in my circles. You know, that's how social media feeds it to you.
Yeah, it just shows on whatever you like.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
So, are you a veteran? Oh, okay. So, how long have you served, and what did you? In what capacity?
Served in the Marine Corps.
The Marine Corps. Nice. Okay. When did you get out?
2019.
2019. Okay. So, I guess that they might have been calling you to go to like California or something like that.
Yeah.
And you probably would you have been for that or not? Probably not. Well, I guess.
Personally, no.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but when you are there, it's a lot different. Yeah, you saw an oath. Yeah, you saw an oath, so you know you got to do what you got to do. But at the same time, it's like personal preference. I don't know. I went in that situation.
Uh-huh. So are you discharged now? Like you no longer? Okay. Yeah, I'd probably want to be a citizen too. You know, not have to worry about it. Yeah, I wanted to go into the military at one point, But then after that, when I wasn't able to get in, I was like, well, you know what? Probably good that I didn't, sign away my life to the military, whatever they have
It's a
to say.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
I just enlisted, I'm shipping off in August.
Oh, nice. Thank you both for your service, of course. Yeah. And, well, I mean, you're going in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you, go to Afghanistan or,
I've been to Bahrain, Qatar, Malaysia, off the coast of the Borders. Yeah.
did you ever have to kill anyone, if you don't mind me asking?
You recording?
I am, but you don't have to say if you don't want to. Okay. Okay.
I never
Well,
killed anybody.
I would say that I don't think that you're murdering anybody because your government has told you to do that. So God is ordained from the civil magistrate.
That's also
Well,
that's a viewpoint.
Well, you go
Cross section right there.
well, you
Yeah,
go.
that's a viewpoint.
Well, you get into just war theory, right? Why we do things like violation of human rights and stuff like that. And so, whether you were there for truly just reasons or not, but you were doing your duty as enlisted service, so you are exempt from anything like that because you were told to by your elected civil magistrate.
Right?
Judged by God. When you are thinking evil thoughts, when you
Y'all believe in Jesus?
when you think of hatred, or
No.
unclean thoughts,
Why not?
those thoughts
Like,
are
do you believe that he was a real person?
the things that you do with your hands.
No.
If it's violent,
What? Oh. Well, did you know that there's records of him, like writings?
I know there's records, but I have a hard time believing history, especially with like the Bible. Let me rephrase that. Not a hard time believing history. A hard time believing written statements from multiple people, because perception is reality. So if my reality is Jesus was a black man, Afro, walking around, that's what I'm gonna write down. That's what everybody else that reads that book is gonna believe. His perception can be Jesus was a white man, blonde hair. He writes that down. It's the same situation. So it's kind of like hard context.
I see what you're saying, but just as like how the Bible was written, it was by his apostles, right? Well, the first-hand account. So it's 4 different perspectives, right?
Exactly.
Of the same story. So you expect there to be some sort of like differences, right? But everything else like pretty lines up, right?
your ways did you live for God?
Like they're all their stories don't contradict each other, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that I can agree with. They don't contradict. But at the same time, it's also 4 different perspectives. So we can have a friend group. You, me, and him. He could be my best friend, but you can also be my best friend. But y'all cannot like each other, and we still hang out with each other.
Sure.
So it's all perspective based. That's just how I see it. It's kind of hard to. I can say that he's trustworthy, and then you can say no, I can't trust him. I can't tell him this information because he don't tell me, for instance.
The only difference is their entire friend group believed that he was God, and then didn't have anything bad to say about him.
That's Christianity, and the Muslim religion, they don't believe that Jesus was God.
No,
they
no, they
believe he was
don't.
a disciple.
Yeah, but just because there's competing beliefs, doesn't that mean there's still a right and a wrong, right?
But how do you decipher that? After 2,000 years, how do you decipher who's right and who's wrong? So that's why I said, as it's being passed down, stories get mixed up, things get changed. So how do you know which to believe? That's why you can't really base it off of I'm gonna strictly believe this book and not this book because it's all similar.
I'll tell you how I believe, how I can trust it. So I believe that the canon, that whenever it was written by the apostles or people that were either firsthand or knew the person that was firsthand. So 1 degree of separation. And then even so that these letters that were written, that they were circulated in the early church by Paul, and they were copied. And so all the things that were early circulated that lined up with everything else, those were passed down, and then at the Council of Nicaea, they canonized them all together, saying that these are holy and inspired scriptures. These are what the apostles wrote. These are what Luke wasn't an apostle per se; he was a historian. Right. So he came back and looked at all the different the different evidences of the stories and whatnot. So I trust the Bible. I trust Jesus. I trust who he chose, and so that way his word didn't get corrupted over time. And then, also as historical evidence goes, I believe that it's pretty solid because it's all these things that were circulated from the apostles that were upheld by the churches, and even the apostles were at these different churches. And so one of the reasons why I trust Paul as an apostle, one, it was totally against his interests, right, because he was a pious Jew. And then he became blind, but his first thing that he was told to do was to go and to find Peter. Peter was given the Spirit of God, and they were able to discern all truth. Peter didn't reject him. He accepted him as one of the brethren. And so from there, that qualifies Paul and everything he says. Pardon my speaking. That's why I trust the Bible. I appreciate you talking to me. What's your name again?
Anthony.
What's that?
Anthony.
It's very good to meet you, man. I would say you can trust the Bible and that you should do your due diligence in that. And I'll do my due diligence in seeing if ICE is really doing unjustly, like taking kids out of their home and stuff like that. They've given me things to think about.
So have you. And that's, I can appreciate that, especially with given the circumstances.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
You sound like you should be over there with them.
Oh, I am a Christian. I talked with them, and I'm not so clear in speech to go and do that. I believe what they're doing is right. I believe that the word doesn't return void, and whether people reject it or they hear it, that is causing them to move closer in action with their beliefs. And then what happens is they'll either find life or brokenness. And if they find brokenness, God is close to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So he's there for them. Or they might hear it and think, well, what is all this stuff? I want to go and disprove it wrong. And then they go and they find out, wow, there's actually some truth to all of this. You know?
Couldn't that be said about any religion?
I suppose, yeah. But, I mean, for instance, I think like Dave Chappelle did that with Islam or whatnot. I don't think that there is as much validity to the Quran as there is to the Bible. I believe that the Quran invalidates itself by saying that Jesus was a prophet, but prophets tell the truth, and then Jesus claimed to be God, and that there would be no other prophets after them. So if they believe that he was a truth teller, then they believe that they should believe that Muhammad was not really a prophet, that he was a false prophet. So,
Yeah, makes sense.
so just because there's all these competing beliefs doesn't mean that there isn't one truth, right?
Jesus Christ says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one can
And I believe God writing right and wrong on our hearts is him telling us, it's giving an example that there is a God, right? But who's the true God? And I think Jesus has the greatest claim to that.
She's not going to hear your prayers. She's in heaven, glorifying her Savior.
Jesus has the greatest claim to that?
I do, yep.
To being God?
To being
I thought
God.
he was the Son of God.
He is the Son of God. But he also claimed to be, I and the Father are one. So he puts himself on the level of divinity. He also says he's going to come riding on the clouds in judgment. Only Yahweh came and rode on the clouds in judgment in the Old Testament. So he's putting himself in the place that God was in. So I do believe that there is some sort of a hierarchy between these two. Not that the idea of the Father is that the Father presides over these things, and the idea of the Son is that the Son he submits to the will of the Father. But he's still the Father gives him all power for judgment. Like he's the one that's going to judge the world at the end.
Gotcha.
There is only one way to heaven, and that is through Jesus Christ.
Nothing wrong with learning.
What's that?
Nothing wrong with learning.
With
Learn information.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to take my word for it. I really like this one YouTuber named Wes Huff. He is a textual linguist, and so he looks at all these ancient manuscripts. He's a really great resource to look at. He has a series called "Can I Trust the Bible?" So I would encourage you to look at that.
So I have to look into.
Well, Anthony, nice talking with you. I'm going to keep walking around.
How do you get the views video?
What's that?
So how do we get the views video?
Oh, so it's on my YouTube channel. I'm also on Twitch, although I only have one viewer. It just saves to my Twitch. My channel. We'll say what?
I said I don't have a Twitch.
Oh, okay. Well, I have YouTube. So it's Ethan James is my name, and that's what it is. But you can also go onto if you type in Ethan James work vlog, it's kind of all over the place. I'm just trying to post every single day right now.
Gotcha.
So you just started, or?
I am, yeah. I started almost a month ago, and I heard that there is this strat to where if you post something every single day, you just get your reps in, then eventually you'll get enough watch hours to have to be monetized within a few months. That's what I'm trying. That's me. Yep. Yes, sir. Sweet. I appreciate y'all talking with me.
Absolutely. Good luck.
Thank you. Y'all take care.